So now we're looking at the relative unrealized loss. So that was the previous model we looked at was in terms of dollars. So in terms of market cap size, how much of the market cap was underwater. What we're looking at here is that then divided by the market cap. Now, what we've got here, the thing I want to show you here, we've already discussed this bearish divergence to the upside. What I want to look at here is during the bear market bottom of 2018, March 2020, and our current cycle. What I'm looking at here is the recovery behavior. So much the same. What we have here is a declining during relatively sideways price action. In 2018, we went from 3,000 all the way through to 4,000. So it's more or less sideways price action. But look how dramatic the decline is. We went from over 0.6, so 60% of the market cap was in loss, to about 40%. So 20% of the market cap was essentially recovered, even though we only moved upwards in price by about $1,000. So what's going on here? This is the sign of accumulation. In a very, very small amount of price movement to the upside, we've essentially recovered a very, very large amount of profitability. So the market has moved dramatically into a profitable state, even though we have a very, very small upwards price lift. Remember, price only needs to go $1 above a coin's acquisition price for it to be now go from unrealized loss to unrealized profit. So this recovery, this downtrend is showing that we had massive accumulation down there. Now, here we are in our current market cycle, and we have somewhat of a downtrend. It's actually quite strong. We've traded down from 55% of the market cap being in a loss to 36%. That's a dramatic amount of improvement in terms of overall profitability. So we can see that we do have this downtrend showing that there is a large amount of accumulation going on, even though we've traded from about 20,000 up to 22,000. So again, we're talking about a relatively small amount of price action to achieve a fairly substantial amount of improved profitability. And we can actually confirm this by looking at the total supply in loss. So you can see here that when we were trading down at 19,300, we had about 9 million coins in loss. So here we are trading at 22,000 and we have 7.2 million coins. That means there's about 1.8 million coins that have a cost basis down in this zone. That's a very, very significant amount. That's almost 10% of the supply. I think it's about 8% if memory serves. So we have about 8% of the supply that's been accumulated within this price range that we're currently in. So it's really showing that we're starting to get signals that there is in fact accumulation going on here. And again, we need to see whether that can actually weather the storm and hold the line. But what we are seeing is that there is accumulation and value as we've discussed over previous videos.
Welcome, Bitcoin friends. It's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts, do some TA, look at various time frames, and we'll also take a look at Market Cipher. So this is the key chart we've been watching here to give us some indication that the bottom of the bear market is in. And which just shows the two previous bear markets here highlighted in grey. And we have Market Cipher pulled up down the bottom here on the 2-week time frame, and also the hash ribbon indicator in the middle here. The hash ribbon indicator shows when miners are capitulating, and we quite often get that at the end of bear markets. And once that capitulation is finished, this indicator shows a buy signal. We've noticed with the two previous bear markets, once we get this buy signal, indicated also by this blue circle, that it indicates that the previous low was the bottom of the bear market. We're using this in conjunction with Market Cipher on the 2-week time frame down the bottom here. As we also noted in both bear markets, we generally get a major green dot here on the 2-week time frame, also confirming that the previous low was the bottom of the bear market. And both of these indicators seem to give these signals around a similar time. And what we can see is with our current 2-week candle here, we do have that major green dot still on Market Cipher, even though we have pulled back from 24K to 21K. And we're just waiting for this major green dot to get confirmed at the start of next week. We do have quite a bit of stuff coming out this week with a lot of earning reports for major companies, and also the FOMC meeting where we'll get the next announcement on interest rates. So there could be some volatility going into the end of the week for the stock market, and this could also affect Bitcoin. But we'll have to see how that plays out, and if we can get this major 2-week green dot confirmed, and also get closer to confirming this buy signal on the hash ribbon indicator. And just to show you zoomed in a bit better here, the 2014-15 bear market, this 2-week candle here was the bottom of the bear market. After this candle, we got the hash ribbon buy signal on the following 2-week candle. And then 4 weeks after that, we got that major 2-week green dot on market cipher. And this confirmed that the bottom was in. The 2018 bear market now zoomed in. We saw we did bottom out on this 2-week candle. And 4 weeks later, we got that hash ribbon buy signal. And another 2 weeks after that, we got that major 2-week green dot on market cipher. And together, this indicated that the bottom was in. Again, we're just waiting for that on our current bear market here, for that 2-week green dot to get confirmed at the start of next week, and to see if we eventually get that buy signal on the hash ribbon indicator. I do also have this trend line here, just connecting the lows of these wicks. And if we just go down to the daily time frame and look at our current price action, we can see we have been respecting this line. And with this current pullback, this line is down at around 20,150. And if we just look back at the 2018 bear market here and also the hash ribbon indicator, what we can see is we did bottom out down at this level. We did get the hash ribbon buy signal around this area, and then we did end up still going down from that area, around a 15% drop. So we can get that buy signal and still get a correction down, but we did see we made a higher low, and eventually we did start off the next bull run. 2014-15 bear market here. We can also see we got that hash ribbon buy signal around this area. This was the low, and we did have another correction here, but we did end up just going sideways for quite a while. This was that second drop. On this chart, it does show it as a slightly lower low, depending on the chart you look at. Some of them are higher up, but this is pretty much a double bottom here. And we can see eventually we did start the next bull run. So just because we get this buy signal and that 2-week green dot doesn't mean we can't have some corrections and a lot more sideways action, but it does give us that high chance that the bottom is in, looking back at the previous low. And looking at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame now, the first thing to point out here is we do have this big spike on the VPVR here. This is the amount of volume traded at certain price levels. And we can see where we did close these candles at the lows here, that we did have this big spike on the VPVR. So a lot of volume did change hands at this level. And that also goes along with that intro video showing that there was accumulation at these low levels, showing that overall less people are in a loss here than they were on this initial drop down to that same level. And we do also see a spike here around our current level, around 20,900. Just zooming in on our current price action, we can see we ended up getting pushed back down from 24K and closing the week at 22.6K. And we did end up closing below the 200-week moving average in red here. And we can see with our current candle, we have been pushed back down to around that 21K area. And looking at the VPVR with just our immediate price action here, we can see that a lot of volume was traded inside this area between 21.2K and 20,300. And it's also in line with our weekly order block here from this green candle in a downtrend. Just got that marked out with this blue rectangle. We do also have an order block from this red candle in an uptrend. These order blocks are areas of supply and demand. It's a break in the trend. Time was spent here and therefore volume. And these areas become of interest later on, and they can act as resistance or support levels. We can see we have come back down here, and currently we are inside this order block, and we did also test this thin order block. So we'll have to see how this weekly candle closes. If it does end up closing below this order block, which would be below 20,560 approximately, then perhaps we're going to come back down to test this lower order block and these previous lows. And that would be around 19.4K to 19.2K. And that's also where we see the next spike on the VPVR here. Just looking at the price action from our overall peak at 69K, We can see how much volume was here with the biggest spike on the VPVR down at these lows, bigger than the previous spike where we consolidated here, and also these other previous spikes in this consolidation. So there is a lot of interest at these low levels, but we are in this falling wedge pattern on the macro scale. We've had 2 touches on the top and 2 on the bottom. Generally, the third touch on the upside, we break bullish. But as mentioned previously, we have a lot of time here where we can fill out this space, possibly going all the way into mid to late September before breaking this falling wedge pattern. But that would show a lot of consolidation in this range around 20K, giving us at least 3 months to form a floor here. And similar to 2018 bear market, we did spend about 3 months consolidating at the lows here around that 200-week moving average. So we did break also above this dotted trend line, just connecting these 3 highs. So that is a good sign to give some confidence that perhaps this was the bottom. But we are also waiting on those other signals which hold more weight. But this is definitely a good sign that we didn't get rejected off this trend line and push back down. And down to Bitcoin on the daily time frame now. Have that same falling wedge pattern, also that white dotted trend line, just connecting these highs. We can see we did break above that trend line and have that nice move all the way up to 24K. And now we have had this pullback back into this parallel channel drawn here. So this was a fake out, and we have come back down now. Perhaps we come back down to the bottom of the channel, which on tomorrow's candle would be around 19,650, and may also be a retest of this white dotted trend line after this breakout. We are still making higher lows and higher highs here, so we are on the lookout for another higher low. And just looking at order blocks now, this is that weekly order block in red, and the new weekly candle starts here. So perhaps we come back down here, test the bottom of the channel, but close the week either inside this order block or above it. Again, that order block's between 20.6K and 21K. We do also see we have this daily order block in blue from this red candle in an uptrend, and this order block is between 21,200 and 20,800. If we are able to hold this order block, use it as support, perhaps we come back to the upside. But if we do break down, we have a couple of thinner order blocks here, although they haven't seemed to be as relevant. I would expect perhaps we come back to the bottom of the channel and also a possible retest of that white dotted trend line. And just looking at some fib levels now, just our immediate move from this low to our high. We do see we're currently sitting in the golden pocket on the retracement from this move. So we could possibly get a bounce here. It is also in line with that daily order block. But we can also look at the overall retracement from that 17.5K low to our high at 24.2K. And that shows us the golden pocket further down here at around 20,000. So perhaps we could come down to this golden pocket on the overall retracement and maybe wick down to touch the bottom of the channel and this white dotted trend line, but still close the daily inside this golden pocket and look for support and a bounce. I do also note that the 0.5 fib on the overall retracement is in line with the golden pocket on the smaller retracement from the more immediate move. So there is some confluence with these 2 fibs, and that's pretty much at the level where we're at. So we could see a bounce from this area, or we could possibly come down and test the lows on this channel. And again, we do have those other factors with the earnings reports from major companies in the next few days, and also the announcement on the interest rates. So I do expect some volatility. We do have to see how that does play out based on how the stock market reacts. Looking at the stochastic RSI, we do see it starting to come down here. Perhaps this needs to fully correct all the way down before we get that bounce. You can also take a look at the RSI here. We do have a trend line connecting all of these lows. We can see we're currently around the area of that trend line. So we could get a bounce in this area as there is some confluence with this trend line, that order block, and also the golden pocket. We have unfortunately lost this level on the RSI between 48 and a 51 level, which was previous resistance on all these attempts higher. We did break above it, but we failed to use it as support, so that is a bearish sign. We can also see we have gotten a rejection from the daily EMA ribbon here. This is just a collection of moving averages, but it has been significant in the past here, acting as resistance before this drop and also resistance before this drop. But we don't usually break above this ribbon on the first go. It can take a few times of going sideways. And again, the main thing is we need to hold this channel, which on tomorrow's candle would be down at 19.6K. And just looking at the CME Bitcoin futures chart here, this does look slightly different because the futures were closed during that initial drop down to 17.5K. So this chart does look slightly different. But looking at the VPVR, we do see a lot of volume traded around the area we're currently at, between 20.5K and 21,000. And we also have the golden pocket taking it from this low. Again, that's a different low to the spot price chart. So there's also some confluence with that golden pocket and the VPVR here. We did also break above this dotted trend line connecting the highs here. And we also see a similar thing looking at the overall movement from the 69K peak, that we did have a lot of volume here on the VPVR, higher than the previous volume levels on the previous consolidations. So a lot of money is trading hands at this level, and we are looking to build a floor here and eventually break this falling wedge pattern on the macro scale. Over to a market cipher now. This is on the 4-hour time frame. We can see we do currently have a major green dot here. It has been confirmed, but looking back in the past, they haven't been as reliable as the higher term time frame green dots. This major green dot was around this area, and we had one more drop down until we reached the bottom. Similar to this first major green dot was around here. We had one more drop to reach the bottom. So we do need to look at those higher term time frames. The 6-hour is getting close to a green dot here. It's similar to the 4-hour. It's not as reliable as the 12-hour or the daily. We see that blue wave coming down on the 12-hour time frame. It does look like it has a little bit more to go until we might see a green dot on the other side. We do see the money flow, which was in the red ever since April here, did come back into the green on this move to the upside. And now we have dipped back down into the red. We do need to see that 4 and 6-hour green dot hopefully provide some momentum until we can get that 12-hour green dot here. And that would be more of a reliable green dot, as we see the previous 2 green dots on the 12-hour did indicate the temporary bottoms here. And on the daily time frame, we did get that red dot. It did get confirmed. This blue wave has started coming down as we've dropped down here. And again, it looks like it has more to go. This doesn't have to fully come down to see that green dot. If we can get the momentum on the 4, then the 6, then the 12-hour, then we could see the green dot on the daily without the blue wave coming all the way down. And we have been watching the money flow on the daily here. It has also been in the red since April. We almost broke into the green here, but we have been coming down. So we need to see a green dot sooner rather than later so we can get some of that momentum back and hopefully come back into the green money flow, giving us more confidence on a bigger push to the upside. And we do have that support from the higher term time frames. This is the weekly time frame. We got that major green dot that got confirmed on the 11th of July. This blue wave starting to come up. So with momentum on the weekly time frame, hopefully we only see a smaller correction on the daily time frame and that green dot a bit sooner. And on the 2-week time frame, we can see that green dot is still present and we're waiting for it to get confirmed on the 1st of August. So there is that support on the weekly and the 2-week time frame if we can get this green dot confirmed. And although we may have corrections and go sideways here, it will help us confirm that the bottom of the bear market was at 17.5K, like it did on the previous 2 bear markets, where we saw that major green dot indicated the previous low was the bottom of the bear market. We do see similarities here. When this blue wave was coming down, we got a green dot, then a red dot, one more final capitulation, and that major 2-week green dot confirmed the bottom. Also 2018 bear market, the blue wave came down. We got a green dot quickly followed by a red dot. We had one more final capitulation. That major 2-week green dot indicated the bottom was in. And our current bear market, where we came down with the blue wave, got a green dot and then a red dot after that, had one more final capitulation. And now we do have that 2-week major green dot, just waiting for it to be confirmed at the end of the week. So I think that's about all. Hope you enjoyed that analysis. We'll have to see on the daily time frame if this golden pocket and this order block holds up, and also this 0.5 fib, which has confluence with it, looking at the overall retracement from that 17.5k low to the 24k high. The bottom of this order block is at around 20,800. Again, if we do close below that order block, perhaps we come back down to the overall golden pocket here, around 19.9k and 20.1k, and possibly wick down to test the bottom of this channel at 19.6k, and also retest this white dotted trend line for support after its breakout. So thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. I'll see you next time. Bye.